What's up, guys? How y'all doing today? Well, baby, if you are in the Southern District of New York, there are so many legal updates coming. Okay, what's first? Jay-Z is still going up with Tony Busby. He has amended his complaint. Now, whether or not that will hurt or help his case against Tony Busby, we shall see. Because Tony thought this was going to be litigated in Texas. Then it bounced on up to Alabama, Tennessee, one of those. I don't know that part of America, right? I stay away from sundown towns. And then the judge said, nah, we're going to bounce this back up to Southern District of New York. Alex Sparrow, not Diddy, Jay-Z's attorney was like, bet, because I run Southern District of New York. Except for Quinn Emanuel, who was Alex Sparrow's law firm, had just got hit with a staggering $3 million sanction for being dishonest and running cons and woefully misleading the court, witnesses, and everybody else. It sounds a lot like what what people have accused Jay-Z of doing. Now, we'll talk about that because it's more complicated. But speaking of misleading and underhanded tactics, remember the case with Fat Joe? It was litigated by Tyrone Blackburn, right? Tyrone Blackburn represents Little Rod against Diddy and Fat Joe. When that happened, I specifically remember they used Alex Sparrow's playbook. Attack, attack, attack. The only thing is they got ASAP's. So Fat Joe hired ASAP's Rocky's lawyer, Joe Tacopino. I'm just giving you all the rundown. Around that time, I do remember I distinctly felt that Diddy's team and also Fat Joe's team was trying to discredit Tyrone Blackburn. He was arrested for a felony. They said he tried to run someone over. I said, what? They threw the book at him. He even got arrested and it was all over the blogs. But you know what was so quiet on the blogs? Now he has been vindicated of all of it. And the sex trafficking case against Fat Joe seems to be moving forward. Well, the case of everything Fat Joe was accused of seems to be moving forward. And Tyrone Blackburn is now literally taunting Fat Joe and his legal team saying, what's going on? We've been asking for interviews with Southern District of New York. Again, it seems like, and again, I remember when the Diddy trial happened, they were going after lawyer after lawyer after lawyer, anybody that was representing any of the victims, which back then I was like, it is morally depraved, in my opinion, but it was a smart legal strategy. You can't stop people from suing. So who are you going to go after? You're going to go after the lawyers. That's why Jay-Z is right now in court with Tony Busby. No one really knows how it's going to turn out. Jay-Z got deep pockets and he is angry. And Tony Busby got deep pockets. And he is a good old boy, a good old MAGA boy. So you know it's even irking his soul that Jay-Z would even dare raise a legal hand against him. But Jay-Z got the money to try to put him in the ground. All right. Now, what's the last update? I'm going to fill y'all in on all this, but there is so much going on. What is the last update? Remember that woman, Bonner, who testified against Diddy in the trial and said that he held her above a 17th floor balcony and dangled her, groped her, did all this stuff, then threw her into glass patio furniture. And remember how Nicole Westmoreland, right? I hope that check can buy a soul, right? She is very good at what she does. If I'm ever in court, what am I saying? I'm never going to be in court for Diddy like escapades. Never, ever, ever. So never mind, right? But if you are a monster, and that's most of the people that are defending Diddy, she did a great job of discrediting Bonner. Now, because I was in a courtroom, a lot of people didn't realize the way she discredited her was on some Matlock stuff. She's very good at cross-examination, and she's very good at planting doubt. But one of the things that did not escape my attention is there was a lot of evidence, text messages from Cassie, Rob Holiday, who was Diddy's producer, and her best friend trying to call her and broker a settlement. There was a lot of evidence that they discussed when they had the jury going to the back, and they were arguing about whether that evidence should be let in. Judge Submaranian did say at the end, no, we're going to exclude this evidence because there was hearsay. And also when it comes to civil, criminal versus civil trials, this was a criminal, obviously, there's just certain levels of hearsay and evidence that he would admit into this court. So a lot of stuff was excluded. Well, that's all changing because she is now suing Diddy. And she's not just suing Diddy for dangling her. She's suing him for SA. Ooh, and she's suing him for throwing her into the patio furniture. And she has receipts. And it looks like in the civil trial, it will be in LA. I'm going to cover it. This civil trial literally does show that a lot of evidence that was excluded, the jury wasn't allowed to hear, and that the Diddy lackeys, the Diddiots, that were lying well, not they were lying. They were willfully, they were either outside playing hooky with the rest of their degenerate friends, acting like they were in the courtroom, or they just chose to glance over it. But a lot of the evidence that was excluded looks like it might come into the civil trial. Let's also not forget that the burden of proof is much lower on a civil trial than this. Now, let's start with this really quick before we get into the Jay-Z, Tyrone Blackburn, Fat Joe thing, right? The Fat Joe case, I will definitely be covering. That's a Fat Joe don't settle, because judging by his rap lyrics, didn't the Supreme Court says you can use rap lyrics as evidence? I'm not even joking. Judging by the rap lyrics, judging by everything that's going on, and judging by the way that, how do you say Gordo Jose, right? Isn't that how you say fat Gordo? Gordo Jose de Gordo has been going. I don't know. They also have a 19-minute tape, Fat Joe, this is a lawsuit Tyrone Blackburn filed against them, where they are talking about pounding out Tyrone Blackburn's client. Now, I know what you're saying. If this was a Diddy trial, pounding out could mean anything, but I'm pretty sure with the terror squad, it meant, putting boot to concrete to your face in the middle. Anyway, let's get into the Bonner thing first, okay? So Diddy's team is opposing this because it's scheduled for May in 2027. And Diddy's team's like, wait, first of all, we're ready for this. And I said, I hope you are, because there's 100 more lawsuits coming, like the mentors to snatch a soul. But they're like, but there's one small complication. I'm reading the things. I'm like, what? Diddy's also going to be getting out in April. So, and I said, so what? What? Stay ready. Don't have to get ready, right? And now, do I think this case is going to make it to court? No. I think Diddy's going to settle with this girl. But then again, maybe not. Because Diddy has been spending a bag to try to get, pardoned. He's been trying to get his charges overturned. He's been spending a bag. But if he was smart and if he needs to rebuild, he will settle with this woman. You remember Bonner. But I don't think that's Diddy's thing. See, Diddy is still mad. He's still punching the walls. I think he's going to want to fight this tooth and nail. So other people, right? So other people that are going to sue him, if they see him settle with her, right? They will also be like, let's get on this. Let's also not forget California's look back window was extended to 2028. So if you or anybody you know has been a victim of Diddy, I don't know, call Tyrone Blackburn. All that stuff about him not practicing law anymore, him being disbarred, him being this, him being that, it looks like it was all cap, and he was completely vindicated. And from the beginning, I do remember him saying that didn't happen. I think TMZ interviewed her or something where he was like, this is all lies, right? Now, at that time, I know everybody was saying, everybody says it's all lies, but it looks like all charges were actually dismissed. So when it comes to Bonner, she says she has messages, she says she has evidence, she says she has proof. On top of that, there are contemporaneous messages between KK and Cassie talking about what happened. And KK, at that point, she was Diddy's assistant in the middle of it, was making excuses and basically also admitted in text messages. Again, it was a lot. It was shocking. And again, a lot of people just think that Diddy's case and the reason why it's so returned is because, oh, y'all just wanted to blah, blah, blah. No, the people that actually know him, not the people that lick his boots, not the people that depend on his PR team for ad dollars, not the people, right? Not the people that just want to live out their 60-year-old, what is it? How old? High school, college fantasies of being invited to a Diddy party, even though their bank account declines, their face card declines, their height declines. They can never be invited. Not those groupies. And by groupies, I'm not talking about women. I'm talking about the men that were groupies for Diddy, right? Shout out to, who is it? Hold on. you know what? Shout out to Ticket TV. He did really, really good coverage of the Diddy trial, but he also did really, really good coverage of the psyche of the men that covered Diddy's trial. And from a man's point of view, I think he did really, really good coverage. Make sure y'all go give him a like, follow. Tell him Tisa sent you into that. But anyway, right? He does really good long form podcasts, all that stuff. Like, get into it, right? But anyway, my whole point of the matter is uh, Diddy is in this Bonner case is more important than most people think. It could either show the beginning, right, of Diddy's comeback or the end of his reign. Again, as much as people want to act like whether Cassie and them were down with it, whether they were tracking it, rather this, you cannot argue with violence. You can't argue with violence. And according to multiple reports, Diddy did try to reach out. Diddy did try to settle. The only thing is, Diddy did the same thing he did. Oh yeah, I'm gonna settle, I'm gonna settle, I'm gonna settle. And he never did. And now he's facing these lawsuits. So everybody thinks that Diddy's innocent. We will actually see. Now, getting into the Jay-Z Tony Busby thing, if you guys don't know, they are still at it. Both of them have deep pockets. Both of them have big egos. Again, Tony Busby is a good old boy. I do think that he is actually enraged that Jay-Z would even have the goal to do this. Again, he is MAGA to his heart. Now, that said, right? Jay-Z's playbook, once Alex Sparrow successfully, my opinion, those who is it? My opinion. Those private investigators that were sent to Jane Doe's house and they released it while the dog was barking scared and she was confused what to do, that was bullying. It was crossing the line. But law is a dirty game and everybody got to play it. Jay-Z's team was successful. They dropped the filing. Now, Tony Busby says they promised that they would not bring up criminal promise they wouldn't bring up charges. Then they turned around and brought up charges. Now, to Tony Busby's thing, Tony Busby, you have been a lawyer a long time. You 100% should have got it in writing. You know that. They're all lawyers. You know how much your word's worth, unless it is writing, right? They also want the thing. They are trying to destroy Tony Busby's reputation, but they're also trying to send shockwaves through the industry that no lawyer, no matter how big or how small, can mess with them. Now, when it comes to actually refiling their lawsuit, let me go over really quick. A lot of people are making a huge deal that they actually, a lot of people are making a huge deal that they actually amended their complaint. That's no big deal because you amend your complaint all the time. You have up until a certain time to keep amending your complaint as long as the basics of what you're saying is true. Now, here's what they want. The third amended complaint says the key changes in arguments. They're removing certain claims and restructuring the case around New York law. Before they were fighting, what was it? Sundown town laws. Again, I try to stay out of Texas, Alabama, Tennessee, all those places, right? Now, if you are living there, God bless you, but I don't know where the sundown towns are, and I don't feel like buying a new green book. Anyway, they're adding a Judiciary Law 487 claim, which essentially alleges attorney deceit or misconduct involving the judicial process. Interesting, that's what his firm just got fined $3 million for. Now, it was for a particular case that was being tried, I believe, in California for tech. But the thing that made that ruling so embarrassing is they didn't just blame little lawyers. They said it is an organizational issue, the way they twist facts, the way they mislead the court, and they still think they didn't do anything wrong. Again, Quinn Emanuel, it was the $3 million equivalent to telling a law firm to go to the black chalkboard and write, and this is directly from Benchmark. I thought that was so funny. Bench slap. Bench slap. BENCHSALP. It's on Twitter, where they said it's the legal equivalent of going and writing, I will not, making Quinn Emanuel write, I will not lie. I will not lie. I will not lie 3 million times. They even said they're very disappointed by the work of those associates. The judge said it's not just those associates, it's from the top down, and you guys need to change your whole culture of the way you do. Now, it will be interesting to see with that three. Funny thing is, everybody thought that the lawyers from the Diddy trial or Tyrone Blackburn was going to be sanctioned, but the people that actually got sanctioned are Jay-Z's law firm. Interesting, right? But they did say that they will correct it immediately. This does not reflect the law firm. The judge was like, whatever. So it will be interesting whether they will be playing fast and loose again in the Southern District of New York. That said, Alex Spiro he is Quinn Emanuel and Alex Spiro. They are known. They run New York City. So in that case, Jay-Z and Tony Busby, well, Jay-Z has the home team advantage 100% over Tony Busby. Now, it will be interesting if Tony Busby can actually show and prove. I will say one thing, right? I feel like Tony Busby should be thanking Shannon Sharp for being such an idiot and liking people to spit in his face, call him the N word, and liking race play. Because when Jay-Z was done with Tony Busby after that Jane Doe thing, everyone, including myself, was like, damn. I thought that Tony Busby, with his level of luring, his thing, I thought he had more. Right. And when we found out, wait, there's nothing behind it, I was like, damn. And I remember when that Shannon Sharp case came up, I was like, I mean, keep in mind, this is a Busby special. So it could just all be speculation and like whatever. And everybody's looking at Tony Busby like, oh, he's not a threat. Let's not worry about it. Interesting enough, when that Shannon Sharp came out with that 19-year-old girl, that looks like an Alabama 8.5, right? When she came out and she sued Shannon Sharp, and Shannon Sharp folded, and we found out that he offered to settle with her for $10 million, and she said, no, mofo, I want more. And it's estimated she got around 19 million. That literally completely gave Tony Busby the credibility he needed to keep on going with this. So all the damage that Jay-Z did to his reputation, Shannon Sharp and his shenanigans actually revived that man's reputation. At least nationally. I know in Texas, he runs his whole thing. Him and his wife, Frances, is from one of the oldest families in his part of Texas. He's represented the Texas State Attorney General. Again, in Texas, his name is law. But outside of Texas, it was dirt after Jay-Z got done with it. And Shannon Sharp is the one that gave that man back his power. Look at the Lord. Anyway, right? They're continuing to arguing that this was a coordinated effort that caused reputational and financial harm. They continue alleging significant business and financial damages, including claims that more than 150 million in financing and contracts evaporated, along with additional lost business opportunities. Now, the thing is, Tony Busby has 150 million to pay, but this will be more of an embarrassment and more of a chilling effect to others, lawyers that would dare come and represent their clients against Jay-Z. Now, we can argue whether Jay-Z's ever done anything, or we can argue that as much as people want to cry about poor billionaires, they don't deserve this. Billionaires have the resources and assets to crush people that come against them, whether the people are telling the truth or not. You don't ever got to worry about a billionaire, right? Now, Busby's side will have the opportunity to respond and oppose requests. After that, Judge Ho will decide whether to allow the amended complaint to move forward in full, in part, or deny. Again, this is going to be huge because it is two titans, and depending on how this goes, it's going to change the face of celebrity lawsuits. It's already changed the type, but it's really going to either have a chilling effect or it's going to embolden people to come through. Tony Busby is acting like nothing's wrong, but he always acted like nothing's wrong, even when he had to remove himself from a bunch of cases in New York. Again, this is more complicated than it seems. We'll get into it once we see part the judges confirm, denies, or dismisses, because that's going to be when the real fireworks start. Now, let's get into the Tyrone Blackburn Fat Joe struggle, because he was accusing Fat Joe of everything, liking underage, smex parties, crazy mess, and brutality, right? It was crazy mess, and a lot of it was illegal, okay? Tyrone Blackburn on his official Instagram posted today a Supreme Court justice in Kings County dismissed the felony indictment against Mr. Blackburn after ruling that the integrity of the grand jury presentment by the Kings County District Office was impaired. Now, that's a lot. And they're saying that Joe Tacopino actually bought this about through the complaint. Um, they said from day one, Attorney Blackburn has maintained his innocence, and this dismissal today is crucial, not only for Attorney Blackburn, but for all the members of the community at large that seek fairness and proper due process when facing charges that impact one's life, family, and career. Attorney Blackburn will continue to be a voice for the voiceless and to advocate for women, men, and children that have been sexually assaulted and abused. This was directly from Heather M. Palmore, Esquire, attorney for Tyrone Blackburn. So it seems like I remember being one to say that there seems like there were smear campaigns going against any lawyer that went against Diddy, um, Fat Joe, Jay-Z, all different lawyers, and they were all running the same playbook. It looks like Tyrone Blackburn has been vindicated. So if anybody got a lawsuit. Again, those people saying, oh, he resigned, he's no longer practicing law. It looks like those were all lies too, because they did put that Attorney Blackburn in the official thing. He also posted from Miami Beach, Florida. I guess he wants everybody to know he is chilling with no worries. He said he posted a photo of an email that he sent to Joe Tacopino, who is representing Fat Joe. This is his lawyer. Joe Tacopino is also a lawyer that represented ASAP Rocky in that trial. He said, "Good morning, Joe. I'm following up on my previous email. What day would you like to meet me at the Southern District of New York so you can present your case for extortion? And I can present my case for RICO and SMEX trafficking. We can have a conversation with federal prosecutors and Homeland Security investigators. I plan to fly in from Florida for the start. For the start of the Diddy trial, but I'm willing to come today if you want to meet with the Southern District of New York and Homeland Security tomorrow. The latest flight to New York is 8:40 p.m. Let me know." Now, this was actually labeled, I'm looking at the timestamp, May 1st, 2021, right? He literally put in his Instagram caption, and he literally put in this Instagram caption, and this is pinned, that he's been trying, emailing, doing all this. Now, why is this relevant? One, he's about his money and he's about his business. Two, shortly after he posted that, that's when all these hit pieces started showing up. He's been indicted. It was a hit and run, all this other stuff. And now we see that once they thought they had quieted him, all that noise stopped. All these accusations got thrown out. And what remains is a case against Fat Joe that looks like it's moving forward. Again, could be related, could not be related. But I do remember in 2025, the new playbook now, when you want to sue somebody rich and famous, and they can thank Alex Spiro again, or we can thank Tony Busby, because low key, the facts are fuzzy about that whole Jane Doe case. And Tony Busby was moving really grimy. It was weird. It was weird. It was weird, right? But law's a dirty game. So we can thank Jay-Z and Tony Busby because that game, the playbook that Diddy started following, and it looks like Fat Joe is following. We'll see if it's going to be successful. But right now, Tyrone Blackburn is standing there saying, I'm still here, and so is Vanna, and also so is Tony Busby. Anyway, you guys, listen, I'll give an update on everything as it develops, especially the Jay-Z case, because at this point, I gotta be honest with you, I don't know who is lying. When Tony Busby first brought that case, I said, ain't no way a lawyer that prominent, with that much to lose, is gonna come with some bullshit. He indeed did come with some bullshit, but then, when we saw about the way we released that tape and we saw the way they were harassing Jane Doe, I was like, wait a second. This does sound like you're witnessing intimidating, and it does sound like you're harassing. But then it came back to them filing charges against Tony Busby. And Tony Busby was like, you dummy, this is going to be tried in Texas. And then it got moved to New York, and Alex Spiro was like, yeah, who's the dummy now? And again, I'm very interested to see where this case ends and who's going to be exposed as doing what. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments. I will talk to y'all later. Bye.